As we have seen in the past few videos, humans have a long and complicated history of making themselves at home here on Earth. But we're at a unique moment, the present, and we can define what kind of relationship we want to have with the world around us. And that decision is going to have huge and real impacts on how long humans survive and the quality of life that we have here in the future of our planet. So one choice we can make is sustainability. And we can make sure that our species and the conditions of our planet supports us as a top priority. And that is basically sustainability. We know that we're not completely separate from Earth systems. So shouldn't we do everything in our power to make sure our children and our grandchildren have enough to live comfortably? This is the main idea of sustainability. It's making choices with the longevity of Earth's resources and ecosystem in mind. Now, sustainability has a short definition, but it's a loaded word. There's a lot of work and a lot of thought that goes into sustainable living. The first step is a pretty big shift in thinking. Now, I know that I grew up in a culture that was, and arguably still is, pretty focused on stuff and money and immediate needs. We think in terms of quarterly gains as opposed to the longevity of our investments. And we think about what I need right now to maximize my comfort and convenience in this moment. And when you think about it, that's kind of a selfish way to think, right? Now, sustainability asks us to think about maximizing the comfort of all humans over the span of our existence as a species, which is a really hard thing to do. That's so many people in such a long time. And by maximizing the comfort of all, well, we may need to change how we live and possibly give up some of the things that we've grown used to. So with sustainability, we need to think ahead to what the needs of future generations will be and how our choices can safeguard the resources that they will need today. This is delayed gratification, which we as Americans have had a hard time with in the past. Okay, so this is going to be putting money into savings instead of upgrading our phone, right? To make it a little bit easier, at least for me, I like to think of myself as an ancestor. Even by calling myself an ancestor, I'm putting myself into the context of my descendants, and that helps me consider their needs when I act. So, what do we do after we get ourselves in that sustainability mindset? Well, we need to actually safeguard those resources for the future, right? And to do this, first we need to identify the resource we want to protect. That can be anything from a plot of land to a crop to a species on Earth or an entire Earth system like the climate. Once we've identified the resource, we need science, all of the sciences, to define the resource so that we can identify all the factors going into our ability to meet our goal. And after that, we set benchmarks, which are kind of like mini goals, which are steps along the way to help us get to that big goal of conservation. And then we put a plan into action and evaluate our results based on those benchmarks. But even as we work to achieve our benchmarks, it's important to remember the big picture of what we are trying to achieve. Sustainability seeks to maximize the well-being of all humans across our shared history and our future. This means that we need to develop our policies and governing principles today to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Now, that's a quote from the scientists, politicians, and concerned humans from around the globe that have developed these smaller, achievable goals to make that future possible. The United Nations made a coalition of these people, and they outlined 17 specific sustainability goals to get us there. And each goal has its own action plans and benchmarks. And someone who's interested can absolutely just pick one of those goals that they care about most and then work to support it. Now, wait a second, I might hear you say. What does poverty, gender equality, and all of these other things have to do with sustainability? Well, it turns out that when a person has their basic needs for food, shelter, education, good work, and not being oppressed, when they have those needs met, then not only are they happier and healthier, but they're in a position to make better choices for themselves about the kinds of resources they use and how to use it sustainably. And remember, the goal of environmental science is to maximize well-being. It's about the whole human, and it's about the whole society, not just the resources they use. Environmental science is not just about protecting the planet at the cost of human well-being, okay? Environmental science is about protecting the planet and humans. All right, now the way that we think we will be able to most efficiently and effectively be sustainable is by supporting the natural resilience of the ecosystems on our planet. Resilience is the ability to resist change or to recover after a change. When we take the ecosystem into account, we construct our built world, and then the way that our built world is built around the ecosystem can resist damage from natural disasters like floods, or even prevent them from happening, like sea level rise or the loss of cropland. So really, sustainability is about being a good ancestor, but also about being a good descendant. Our ancestors toiled to give us what we have today. And while we're inheriting some of their problems, we've also inherited this amazing world. And it's our job to be good stewards of it and to treat it like the gift that it is.